Bottom-tier companies aren't allowed to speak. Just obey quietly. This man is an existing customer, Tom. He serves as the sales manager at our client company. Today, he found a $3 million order error and came to discuss it. Understood, I said, and then left the scene. As I stayed silent and left it alone, I got a call from a flustered Tom. My name is Steve Jones. I'm turning 43 this year. I think I've led a pretty ordinary life so far. In school, my academic performance was average, and my athletic abilities were also normal. Although I didn't have any outstanding talents, I got into a regular university and joined a small company after graduation. The job hunt was somewhat challenging, but things have been smooth since joining the company. After joining, I was assigned to the sales department. I've been working at company for 21 years, learning a lot from my seniors. Currently, as a middle manager, I'm caught between my boss and my subordinates, so it's not stress-free. Still, I must be grateful for the busy days. This is an important time for me to further enhance my expertise. I need to manage how I want to grow and what I should do next. I believe this is the most critical period of my life, and then the incident happened. It started when a senior who had taught me the ropes since I was a newbie suddenly quit. Even after I became capable at work, this wonderful person listened to my complaints and was my role model. We had just gone out for drinks recently, yet he suddenly disappeared. I wasn't told the detailed reason, only that he couldn't continue working due to mental strain. Indeed, he had mentioned severe dark circles under his eyes and lack of appetite a while back. Perhaps those were the early signs. However, our company is relatively good, and the human relations should not be bad. Why did my senior become mentally exhausted then? There's no point in thinking about it now, but I regret not taking any action. Maybe he would still be here if I had. And with the senior gone, I have to fill in the gaps for the projects he was handling. There aren't too many, and I am only taking over one. The client is Company B, a major corporation. I was surprised when my senior first secured a deal with Company B. But thinking back, maybe he hadn't been well since then. Anyway, today is the day my boss and I go to Company B. Normally, I would go alone, but since this is the first handover, my boss is coming too. Excuse me, I said as we entered the room we were shown to at Company B. A well-built man was sitting alone on the sofa. So you're the new representative, come in. My name is Steve Jones. Nice to meet you. I'm Tom. I'm glad you seem like a nice person. Tom, as he introduced himself, is the sales manager at the client company. He has a reputation for being quite capable, so I was on guard, but he had a lovely smile. The discussions that day were held in a calm atmosphere, and it seemed I could handle the current project without issues. Glad he seems like a nice person. Well, I'll be going ahead. As soon as we finished talking with Tom and left Company B, my boss quickly walked away. My boss is always busy, so he usually can't accompany me. However, today, since our client was the major company, B, he probably forced some time open. Before leaving, I looked up at Company B's building and made a firm decision. It's fine for now since we have an ongoing contract, but there's no guarantee it will continue. It's no exaggeration to say it depends on my abilities. This is a project I inherited from a respected senior. I absolutely must protect it. That's what I thought. But an incident occurred the next time I visited Company B. I'm sorry for being late. You're late. How long were you planning to make me wait? 2 weeks after the first visit, Tom said he wanted to discuss the contract directly and suddenly called me in. That morning, I had to quickly adjust my schedule because of the sudden summons. But the train was delayed, and I ended up being about 5 minutes late for our meeting time. Tom apparently couldn't forgive those few minutes of lateness. I deeply apologize. It may sound like an excuse, but the train was delayed. That's none of my concern. You could have used a taxi, even if you had to pay out of pocket. You're right. I'm very sorry. At our company, we generally can't claim taxi expenses. It's different if a client is with us, but taking a taxi alone is out of the question. So, we usually travel by train, but I truly wished I had taken a taxi that day. Well, fine, about this contract. Can't you lower the price a bit? I believe my predecessor explained this, but we can't reduce it any further. I heard other places can deliver for a cheaper price. It seems Tom called me in for a price negotiation. But we had already completed the contract at the price my senior proposed. So why bring this up now? Moreover, is this something that requires calling me in directly? These questions came to mind, but I couldn't ask directly. I'm terribly sorry, our company would really like to lower the price, but with that attitude, I'll have to reconsider continuing our contract. Please, somehow. If you can't lower the price, then leave. Go home today. In the end, I was kicked out of Company B after only about 10 minutes. After that, I was going about my usual routine without any particular issues, when I noticed a suspicious piece of paper on my desk. What is this? I muttered to myself and picked up the paper. It read, "Beware of a man named Tom. He ruined me," along with my senior's name. Tom. Is this about Tom from Company B? Is something wrong? No, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. My subordinate, sitting at the desk opposite me, asked out of concern, probably because I had such a puzzled expression. I responded with a smile at that moment, but the sense of unease wouldn't go away. My senior had said he quit because of mental strain. Could it be that Tom did something to him? But for now, he just seems like a slightly annoying person, not someone causing major stress. As I was thinking this, I got another call from Tom. When are you going to deliver what I asked for last time? Apparently, he wanted the ordered product quickly. The delivery date is still a month away. We can't deliver it right now. You're really useless. We're a major company, you know. Why can't you follow my instructions? I'm sorry, but since it's a custom order, it takes time. The order from Company B was custom made, taking more time and costing more than usual. Tom should have known this from the beginning, but he didn't seem satisfied. He kept calling and complaining about the cost and delivery time. Each time, I told him it was impossible. Hey, are you listening? Yes, but no matter how many times you called, we can't shorten the delivery time. I could have you quit, just like your predecessor. At Tom's words, I froze for a moment. What do you mean by that? Didn't your senior quit because of a mental breakdown? I'm saying I'll make you go through the same thing. Could it be, did my senior quit because of something that happened with you? Tom then started laughing in a shrill, ear-piercing voice. Well, that's up to your imagination anyway. I'll let you off for today. With that, he hung up the phone abruptly. As I suspected, the reason my senior quit was just as I had imagined. When I first visited Company B with my boss, I had a good impression, but I was mistaken. That was probably just a facade because my boss was there. This is the real Tom. A week after the last call, I realized something and decided to visit Company B again. Honestly, I hesitated about visiting, but no matter how unpleasant Tom is, it's still work. Even though I was frustrated about him making my senior quit, I couldn't let it show. Sorry, I have an appointment to speak with Tom at 1 p.m. today. Oh, Tom is out right now, and I haven't heard anything about such a meeting. I see. Do you know when he might return? I had clearly informed him over the phone about the visit, but perhaps he forgot. I explained the situation at the reception, but they said no room was reserved for the meeting. Moreover, Tom was out for lunch, and they didn't know when he would return. I'm very sorry. If you don't mind, please wait in the lobby. No, that's fine. If he returns, could you let me know? Understood. I waited in the lobby of Company B, responding to work emails while waiting for Tom. However, Tom didn't return, and time kept ticking away. Looking at my watch, I saw it was already 3 p.m. Isn't that a long lunch break? Just then, I spotted Tom in the lobby. Tom? Oh, it's you. What are you doing here? I believe I informed you that I had an important matter to discuss today. Today, Tom seems to be in a very good mood. His tone is calmer than usual, and he doesn't seem as prickly. Really, I forgot. Sorry about that. I'll get a room right away, so please wait. With that, Tom headed to the reception. Apparently, a room was available, so I followed Tom into the elevator. So, what's this about? If you came all the way here, it must be important, right? As soon as we entered the room, Tom plopped down on the sofa and, while fiddling with his phone, asked, Yes, actually, I found an error on your side. An error? Are you saying I made a mistake? That can't be. I thought the same and reviewed it multiple times, but there was indeed a mistake. Yes, I visited Company B today to point out a major mistake Tom had made. However, Tom refused to acknowledge his mistake and didn't even listen to me properly. If that's all, you can leave now. But if this isn't addressed, it will cause significant problems. Honestly, the mistake I found is quite serious. But I couldn't back down here. It seemed admitting a mistake was a bigger problem for Tom. Bottom-tier companies aren't allowed to speak, just obey quietly. He said this to me as I tried to explain the situation. I had endured Tom's unpleasant attitude until now. Even after knowing how he treated my senior, I still wanted to help him. But apparently, Tom didn't need my help. As my frustration erupted, my face grew hotter and hotter. What's wrong? Your face is red. Are you upset because I called you a bottom-tier company? Understood. Understood what? Tom's words were only meant to provoke, and I decided not to say anything more. No matter how bad things got, I would never help Tom again. Being a bottom-tier company is fine with me. I will excuse myself now. Admitting it yourself is pathetic. Say whatever you want. I don't care anymore. Tom continues to laugh at me, unaware that he'll be the one to face consequences soon. I greeted to Tom, who was trying hard to stifle his laughter, and left. After leaving Company B, I looked up at the building as I had before. Senior, you went through such tough times. I'm sorry if the contract falls through. I muttered, recalling my senior's pained expression. After some time, I delivered the products to Company B on the specified day. There was such a large quantity that it took 3 trucks to transport everything. That evening, I received a call from Tom, who had likely inspected the delivered products. Hey, what's the meaning of this? There's an insane amount of products here. A flustered Tom claimed that more products had been delivered than he ordered. What? We delivered exactly the number you ordered. Everything has been properly inspected. Don't mess with me. This is clearly wrong. I ordered $300,000 worth. No, Tom. You ordered $3 million worth of products. A moment of silence passed through the receiver. And after what felt like a minute, Tom finally spoke. $3 million? Are you kidding me? I don't remember placing an order for that amount. Are you sure? Could you please check the order form again? I'll check on my end as well. The order form? It should be in this file somewhere. No way. It can't be $3 million. It seems Tom finally realized the gravity of the situation. I checked the order form on my end, and it clearly stated $3 million. When Tom told me that bottom-tier companies shouldn't speak, I intended to point out the order mistake. But after being told to obey quietly and feeling frustrated about my senior, I left without saying anything. Why didn't you point it out if you knew? What am I supposed to do with all these products? I came to report it to you, didn't I? You're the one who told me to obey quietly. You're such a whiner. This is your fault. How do you plan to take responsibility? He still didn't want to admit that the order mistake was his fault. He intended to escape responsibility by blaming me. It's not my fault. The order mistake is your responsibility. If you had pointed it out, this wouldn't have happened. You're the one who didn't listen to my advice. Usually, I don't raise my voice. I prefer to handle things as smoothly as possible and avoid making others feel bad. But this time was different. Maybe because I was speaking louder than usual. The other employees around me were looking at me with concern. Anyway, these are the products you ordered and we delivered. We don't accept cancellations. Don't mess with me, I'm coming over there right now, so wait for me, and call your boss too. With that, Tom hung up before I could respond. While this situation was bad, I found Tom's panic a bit amusing. May I ask, is there a problem? A few things. It's their order mistake, so we're not at fault. That's good to know, but you seem different, Mr. Jones. My junior sitting across from me seemed worried about me. But this might be an important event for me. Without major troubles and having lived a peaceful life so far, I felt that overcoming this hurdle would lead to growth. I calmly waited for Tom, who would likely storm in angrily. An hour later, Tom showed up, his face bright red. You've called your boss, right? Anyway, I've arranged a separate room. Let's talk there. Damn it. Why do I have to go through this? As I guided him to the separate room, Tom kept muttering to himself. Even after entering the room, his brazen attitude didn't change. This issue is your fault. You'll pay for the losses. With all due respect, I don't think we are at fault here. What? Are you still talking back to me? Just as Tom shouted, the door opened. Mr. President, why are you here? I heard about this from your subordinate. It's good that I was here today. So the president finally shows up. What do you plan to do about this? I hadn't told anyone about the situation, so I was surprised when the president suddenly appeared. Apparently, my subordinate had overheard my phone conversation. I've heard the gist of it. It's Company B's ordering mistake, correct? I'm sorry to trouble you, but yes, that understanding is correct. How many times do I have to say it? I didn't make any mistake. Take responsibility. Even with the president there, Tom's attitude didn't change. He was determined to make us pay for the losses. However, since we weren't at fault, there was no reason for us to pay. The president seemed to share this view and firmly addressed Tom. Why should we have to pay? Can you explain that to me? It's because this guy didn't point out the ordering mistake. How many times do I have to tell you? First, I was informed that our employee came to report the issue, and secondly, that still doesn't make it our mistake. The president tried to explain, but Tom wouldn't back down. Is that so? If that's your stance, we won't continue our contract in the future. Tom smirked at us, thinking that we would be troubled if the contract was terminated. Company B is indeed a major company and contributes significantly to our sales. However, even if Company B cancels the contract, we won't go bankrupt immediately. But since our president is strict about sales, he might listen to Tom. That's what I thought, but I was surprised by the president's next words. Go ahead, do as you like, but you'll be the ones coming back to us later. What? What are you talking about all of a sudden? Us coming back to you? That's impossible. Honestly, I didn't understand what the president meant either. Losing the contract would surely be a blow to us. Company B likely has many other companies wanting to contract with them. Even if the contract ends here, it wouldn't be a problem for them. However, when I glanced at the president, his face was very serious. There are many things in this world that you don't know. I don't get it anyway. I'll buy the $300,000 worth, but cancel the rest. As soon as Tom said that, the room door opened again. Standing there was an unfamiliar man. His hair was mixed with grey, and he was slim. He looked to be around the same age as our president, likely in his 60s. Mr. Smith, why are you here? Sorry to keep you waiting. The previous meeting took longer than expected. No problem. I was just about to wrap things up here. It appears this man, Smith, who suddenly appeared, is the president of Company B. From the look of things, President Smith and our president know each other. I'm sorry for any trouble my employee has caused. I truly apologize. Wait a minute. What is going on here? I rushed over after getting the call that my employee was being rude. It seems a lot has been happening behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of. Before coming here, our president explained the situation and called President Smith. I had no idea such things were happening without my knowledge. Honestly, I was struggling to grasp the situation. Yes, I did make a mistake with the amount, but I think it's his fault for not saying anything even though he knew about it. His fault? Who do you think you're talking to? President Smith raised his voice at Tom's persistent attitude. The sudden outburst made Tom's shoulders twitch in surprise. This man, Mr. Jones, is my lifesaver. He wouldn't do something like this on purpose. What do you mean by that? I was puzzled by President Smith's words. This should be our first meeting. However, as I stared at President Smith's face, a memory suddenly came to mind. Could it be, a few years ago, the man who was taken away by an ambulance? That's right. I was that man. You saved me when I collapsed. I completely remembered. On my way to a crucial meeting involving $2 million, I saw a man collapse on the side of the road. I quickly performed first aid and called 911. After the ambulance arrived, I rode with him to the hospital. The moment I knew his life was not in danger, I received a call from the client. I'm sorry, I saw someone collapse on the street and accompanied him to the hospital. That excuse won't work. We're talking about $2 million here. Are you joking? No, I'm truly sorry. I'll come right away. Don't bother coming. We won't be doing business with you anymore. After being loudly declared over the phone and having the call cut off, I collapsed on the spot. $2 million wasn't something easily obtainable. That's why the deal was so important to me, but it couldn't be compared to a human life. Thinking that way, I gave up the $2 million deal and trudged back to the office. I actually overheard that conversation back then. I always wanted to repay you somehow. But how did you know it was me? I've seen you coming in and out of Company B recently. I recognized you at first glance. Apparently, President Smith had noticed me a while ago, but not finding the right moment to approach, he heard about this incident from our president. I felt I had to come to my savior's rescue. Thank you so much. I'm the one who should be thanking you. Thank you for saving me, even at the cost of your business deal. I never expected to meet again like this, and I was so moved by President Smith coming to my aid that I almost cried. However, Tom, who was listening to our conversation, didn't seem convinced. You helped him because you knew he was President Smith. You had ulterior motives. Why are you so cynical? People are all like that. No matter how much President Smith tried to persuade him, Tom was determined to paint me as the villain. This was getting us nowhere. At that moment, President Smith said something surprising. All right, I've had enough. I won't expect anything from you anymore. And I finally made a decision I was hesitant about. What decision? To fire you. I've been consulting with other employees about it for a while. President Smith then started explaining in detail. Apparently, for the past few years, many of Tom's subordinates had suddenly quit. While Tom denied it and the departing employees remained silent, other staff members had testified. Even so, firing Tom right away seemed too drastic. You are nothing but a liability to us. Not only did you cause employees to quit, but you also made mistakes and tried to blame others. Unacceptable. Wait, you're joking about the firing, right? I've contributed so much. Hearing the word, fired, Tom began to panic. Unlike you, I don't lie. The decision is final. Accept it. Wait, what can I do to reverse this decision? It's too late. You should have realized it sooner. Sweating profusely, Tom pleaded with President Smith. However, it was clear President Smith had made up his mind. There's no point in further discussion. I'm leaving now. Wait, please. I'm leaving too. Have Tom leave the premises. With that, President Smith and our president left the room. This can't be happening, please. Can't you say something? You're his lifesaver, right? Help me too. Driven to desperation, Tom no longer cared about his pride. Despite all the insults he had thrown at me, he was now begging for my help. My answer has been decided since the moment you drove my senior to quit. Please, leave now. I'll call security. After a while, Tom left the room without caring about his disheveled appearance or suit. Looking out the window, I saw Tom walking away with slumped shoulders. 3 months later, I received a report that Tom was officially fired. When I visited Company B, there was a new representative. After the $3 million ordering mistake, I thought we wouldn't do business with them again. I felt partly responsible for not pointing out the mistake properly. However, Company B decided to cover the entire cost. Moreover, President Smith offered to continue doing business with us, so I still visit Company B. By the way, what happened to Tom? He was fired, right? Keep your voice down. But he caused quite a commotion. A commotion. Apparently, after receiving his termination notice, Tom suddenly started wreaking havoc in the office. His rampage was extreme, and several company assets were damaged. If he had accepted his termination gracefully, it would have been fine, but due to his rampage, he was sued for damages to the equipment. This included items like computers, so the amount was quite substantial. At this rate, his assets might get seized. That's really something. Since then, we haven't talked about Tom. However, later that evening, I saw Tom leaving the racetrack. Coincidentally, the racetrack was on my way back from a client meeting. Tom emerged from the venue with a look of despair on his face. I bet all my money. What am I supposed to do now? He muttered as he dropped to his knees. Feeling sorry for him, I offered him the tea I was carrying. Noticing someone standing in front of him, Tom looked up. You? Why are you here? Did you come to mock me? No, I just felt sorry for you. Here, take this. I don't need that. Do you know whose fault this is? He gambled away all his money and rejected someone's kindness. This man hasn't changed at all. With that realization, any desire to help him vanished. I see. Thanks to you, I reconnected with President Smith and secured a new $2 million contract. $2 million? Yes, since then, there have been no further issues, and both companies have built a good relationship. Hearing this, Tom became even more dejected. Unless you reflect on your personality, you'll never succeed. With those words, I left. I later heard that Tom paid the damages, lost all his money to gambling, and declared bankruptcy. Since then, I've returned to a normal, uneventful life. It's as if the trouble with Tom never happened, and there have been no major issues. When I visit Company B, I occasionally chat with President Smith, but we never bring up the past. However, one thing has changed. When a potential conflict arises, I now firmly express my opinions. Previously, I would avoid trouble whenever possible, but not anymore. Before, I thought you were just a kind boss, but lately, I really respect you. You're my role model. Is that a compliment? It is a compliment. I felt a bit happy, thinking that perhaps I had become someone to look up to, like my senior. But I can't stop growing here. To honor my senior's memory, I intend to work even harder at this company. I also want to repay President Smith and our president for helping me. I'm truly grateful that President Smith believed in me at that time. As the saying goes, kindness is not for others, meaning that kindness can save not only the recipient, but also oneself. I want to continue living without losing my kindness.